Family and fellow soldiers, I'm the Professor, and this is the Moment of Truth. The people of Alabama have a lot of character. There's no denying that. They showed the world that no matter what the white media may have us believe, even in 2023, there's still plenty of black folks who have the spirit of 2020 and are not about to let these white supremacists run wild. The problem is that the administrative apparatuses of Alabama, like the rest of the U.S., are run by anti-black racists and their bootlick servants, who use their public offices to fully support these anti-black racists and the violence that they perpetrate. Everyone knows about the white supremacists who savagely attacked a black dock worker like a pack of wild animals. And the black citizens of Alabama, the law-abiding contingent of that state, they stomped those scumbags out and gave some of them a much-needed bath. Of course, being Alabama, one of the most backward and racist states in America, and one of the most backward and racist places on earth, you already knew that the fix was going to be in from the jump, because you already have a slimy racist DA down there, who not only gave these bigots a slap on the wrist for their violence with mere misdemeanors, but he also doubled down on his open support for anti-black violence by bringing charges against the very black citizens who stopped the white mob violence. They actually had the nerve to put trumped-up charges against Reggie Ray, the chairman of Alabama, a man who showed the world that when the white supremacists lose their manners, the best thing to do is to offer them a seat, right on top of their heads. Now, the DA clearly identifies with and supports the racist white mob, and he wanted to make a show of his contempt for the black community. This was a hate crime, full stop, carried out by that gang of wild inbreds. It was a slew of felonies that they committed. But these white supremacists want to show the world that when they take an L publicly like that, when black citizens humiliate them, well, they're just going to bend over backwards and try to show everyone that they can give the middle finger if nothing else. This week, two of the hate criminals involved in that race attack, Richard Roberts and Mary Todd, both pleaded guilty, but since they were only given misdemeanors, their plea doesn't mean anything. Roberts will only have to serve a paltry 32 days of a 4-month suspended sentence, and even then he only has to serve it on the weekends, so basically his punishment is to give up a couple of weekends a month. The white woman, Mary Todd, was given less than that. She only has to attend some anger management classes. I'm not joking. That's the sentence that the judge saw fit to give her. This for a violent hate criminal. Now, Jussie Smollett was turned into a white media hobby horse when no crime had been committed at all, and the city of Chicago bent over backwards trying to make some sort of half-brained example out of him, wasting millions of taxpayer dollars, and for what? Because the racists in the Chicago PD took a big L when Jason Van Dyke was convicted of murdering Laquan McDonald, so this was them trying to even the score. This is why it's important for us to monitor these cases and keep tabs on what happens after the cameras go away. This is why I make my Friday crime reports, so you can see example after example of how offenders with the right skin color get serious charges reduced simply as a matter of course. Or in the case of the Riverside racists, they just get penny-ante meaningless charges from the jump. And on a side note, remember when the white judge Aaron Persky got recalled in California because he infamously refused to punish the rapist Brock Turner? The white media went into phony theatrics and told lies, claiming that after that recall, judges across America would be scared and intimidated into giving defendants harsh sentences because they'd be terrified of being recalled, and that this would cause the most problems for black defendants. Well, it's been years since the white media pushed that hysteria, and I'm still waiting to see when the judges are finally going to start being too scared to give low sentences, because so far they've continued to give people with genetic immunity from the law slaps on the wrist no matter what the public thinks. This race attack made international headlines. If any case should have made the prosecutors and judges scared of being called soft on crime, it's this one. But the usual Republicans and conservatives who throw that phrase around have been nowhere to be seen in this fiasco, because everyone knows that when they say soft on crime, what they actually mean is so-and-so isn't targeting black people. Where's the soft on crime crowd now? They're in hiding, waiting until they can find a black person to demonize. Now, there's something else that also needs to be mentioned. The judge in this case is as guilty as the prosecutor. And if you want to know who the judge is, it's a woman named Samari Munnerlyn Dunson. The name alone makes me think she might be an immigrant. Her husband certainly looks like one. And to make matters worse, this skank has a sister who is also a judge in that county too. So stupid runs in the family. That's what's going on down there. This is an allegedly black judge who did this. So Tammy the Mammy in Dallas ain't the only one we gotta be looking out for. And by the way, when you go to this judge's Facebook page, you see that this woman is a complete and thorough degenerate narcissist. All of her pictures are basically about herself, just tons and tons of pictures of herself. This woman worships herself. This woman here thinks that she's the center of the known universe. And of course, because that train is never late, she of course is a member of one of those stupid little sororities, Delta, sick of those Thetas, who gives a rip. This is who this woman is actually dedicated to. This is the problem with these Greek sororities, these black Greeks and these black sororities. This is what they do. As far as they're concerned, they're on the inside track. But of course, that means that they got to show their complete and thorough loyalty to the very white system that they're depending on. And that's the reason why they love to give slaps on the wrist to these racists. They see themselves as being honorary members of the oppressor class, and honoring up black people as human sacrifices is how they show their loyalty. This woman is clearly a social climber, looking at politics as being her ticket to rich white donors and a cushy existence at taxpayer expense. And this piece of filth isn't the only non-white official down there using their office to carry water for white power. You'll recall the mayor of Montgomery, Stephen Reed, was caught on audio recording saying that he didn't need black votes. All he needed were white donors and a few white voters, and he would be able to gain public office and hold on to it, that without getting massive black support. This guy has nothing but contempt for the very black citizens who put him in office. This is what the white media would call black leaders in Alabama. Sock puppets for white power like Stephen Reed and this Samari Munnerlyn Dunson woman. These are meat puppets for white power, bought and paid for by the very racists who the black voters put them in office to fight. The black residents of Alabama deserve better, but that will require black people to make it a point to inflict consequences for supporting white supremacy and attacking the black community. The first step is to take control of the politics in the areas we live. And that process starts by people finding out who it is who's giving these racists a pass and then organize the public to punish them. We need to make it a crusade to go against these anti-black racists, whoever they are and wherever they are. Most people sit back waiting to see if somebody else is going to step forward and lead the charge to justice. Well, it's time for black people to stop sitting back and start stepping forward. But you can't organize without having groups dedicated to the idea of justice. When it comes to holding these sellouts, traitors, and turncoats in public office to account, we require new social institutions to do it with. Currently, about the only thing the black community has are these churches and a few so-called community activists. The black clergy is who gave us turncoats like Michael Eric Dyson, Al Sharpton, and Messy Jesse Jackson. And the community activists are the ones who gave us Barack Obama and D. Ray McKesson. So both of those groups are dirty as the day is long. They've been auxiliaries of white power for the longest time. They were compromised a long time ago. They are both in the business of gathering black people together and then influencing those black people to act against their own interests. And because the black community is used to these bootlicks being the ones who gather black folks together, when something like this miscarriage of justice goes down and the bootlicks don't call a meeting or what have you, the black folks will just shrug and disperse. And the enemy doesn't have to fear being held to account. This is how white power deranges the internal politics of the black community. They've got their little operatives like these pork chop preachers using their position and the fact that these churches are usually the primary gathering place for black people, and they do this as a way of leveraging goodies from these white political figures. We excoriate these racist police and prosecutors and judges, but it's these black clergy and black activists who take pictures with them, cheese it up with them, hang out with them. They're proud to be associated with the very scumbags we fight against every day. When it comes time for an election, they turn their churches into a nexus of support for the people who use their public offices to attack us and to support these race mobs. So we need new social institutions, ones that we control to fix this problem. These crooked black pastors and these do-nothing community activists are part of the problem. And by institution, I don't mean some multi-million-dollar group with a 10-story headquarters. Institutions are the guardians of ideas and ideals. Justice is an ideal, but nobody's trying to guard it. It doesn't have to be this way. We can change it. The people of Alabama have already shown they have steel in their spines. What's called for now is to show that they have the fire in the belly, too, to drive the Samari Dunsons and the racist DA Darrell Bailey as well as the Stephen Reeds and others from office. The corrupt racist DA needs to have his law license stripped from him. That dirty judge needs to be sent packing along with her sister, and there need to be people of integrity and honor in those positions. There has to be punishment for aiding and abetting hate crimes. We have to start imposing consequences on these corrupt DAs, these crooked judges, and these cowardly politicians who don't say anything about this, individuals who use their position to keep the law from touching these white supremacist thugs. At some point, we have to go on offensive. Leave the racists nowhere to hide and no one to hide behind. Racist thugs like the ones on the riverfront have to be punished, but so do these racists who use public office to protect them. That means we have to overrun their positions. When that becomes our focus, we'll be fighting these racists in the political offices just like the black folks did on that riverfront, only this time we won't be offering them any seats. Instead, we'll be taking them away. Good day, and be one. I'd like to take a moment to mention some of our contributors: Kenneth Forbes, Sherman Marshall, Mike Hughes, Gina Jones, and Stephen 12. Salute to them and thank you to everyone for listening, liking, and sharing this message. Black empowerment only exists because of you.